On the 7th of September, we have this big bonsai event or celebration at Herons called the 8 Bonsai Journeys. And Kevin Wilson and I thought that it would be a nice occasion to celebrate bonsai. It's not a competition, although it's an exhibition, we're not competing against each other. We're just asking 8 people who've had very interesting bonsai journeys and interesting trees to talk and display about it. Now, why the number 8? I'm Chinese ethnic, and 8 for Chinese people is a very lucky number. 8 is the prime number. 8 or part means luck, to be prosperous. So 8 is a lucky number. This year is 2024, the year of the dragon, as you can see. And I'm a dragon and a Leo, so what more auspicious can you get than that? And so we decided to have this 8 bonsai journeys, and I have here as a preview, this is not the 7th of September, we are only on the 26th of or 27th of
September.
August. We are not into September yet, but because Warren has to go on holiday, he can't be here on the 7th, so I've asked him to kindly bring the tree and talk about it before the actual exhibition. So he's one of the 8 exhibitors. So let me introduce you. This is Warren Redford, and I've not met Warren many times before. In fact, I don't really know you much. In bonsai, as in life, people have different journeys. We go about different journeys. Our paths cross or may not cross, and yet you don't get to know about them. And sometimes you wonder what they're like. So I really don't know what you're like, but I've been told that you've got a lovely personality, lovely trees, and this is what bonsai should be about, It should be about that. Too much competition and politics in the world of bonsai, we're not into that. So all the people who are going to be exhibiting are going to just enjoy themselves and just enjoy bonsai for what it is. So if I can ask Warren to kindly tell me something about your bonsai journey, because I've been doing it a long time, but I really don't know much about you. If you can kindly tell the audience about your
bonsai journey, I was really introduced to it probably in about 2005 through a friend, a close friend of mine who I'm still close with now, a guy called Simon Crocker. But I actually started putting together a garden and a collection from 2007 when I moved into the current house that I live in with my wife.
So that's quite recent, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's probably about 17 years.
Yes,
and originally I started to just sort of collect stuff from the wild, hawthorn, yew, taxus with friends, Simon being one of them. And as part of that journey, I then went to do workshops with Kevin Wilson from 2011. And that was where my journey really began, and it started.
So Kevin had a big influence.
Yeah, massive. Yeah. Honestly, probably the biggest influence of all.
Yeah.
Incredible teacher. We had a wonderful sort of 5 years together. I used to go every November. I think it was for 4 or 5 years, and we created some really nice trees and had a lot of fun. After that, I realised that certainly with a busy life and a busy job that I had to maybe change the way that I looked after my garden. So I then made the decision that I was going to move into stuff that was a little bit more advanced, which would then take up less of my time. I don't have a small collection, although they're mainly big trees. I have a collection of 25, and I have kind of a strict policy of 1 in, 1 out, but I don't generally move stuff anymore. Every now and again I might sell one to maybe purchase another one, but they come in at a pretty high finish, and then it's just a question of me then just maintaining them through the year, sort of seasonal work, and hopefully ending up.
So what
after
got you into bonsai? Were you a keen gardener or
no? Nothing like that at all. I've always had quite a busy life with work, and so the actual story is, I was in between buying a house, and I was single at the time. So I stayed for a couple of months with a friend of mine called Simon who had bonsai, and I used to come home from work and he would be in the garden because he used to get them earlier than me, and he used to be in front of his benches just misting and sort of plucking away, and he was almost losing himself, and I never really understood fully what that kind of losing yourself within your tree or your garden sort of was. And then I bought my first one. I actually buy it off of Simon, and then the rest is literally history. Then found out the reason why people do it, the peace that it can create, the help with mental health, the calmness. And I, to this day, kind of call my garden the eye of the storm. I kind of the peace within the madness. It feels like the world is spinning around as I kind of work or water in my garden. But yeah, so that's kind of it really, and where we are.
So what aspect of bonsai do you enjoy most? Just maintaining them, creating them?
Improvement. I don't really have the skill of a Kevin Wilson that can create the magic initially. So I kind of...
But you obviously have skill, otherwise you wouldn't be able to maintain the tree so immaculate.
No, I understand that. But I've learned that from sort of being around people now, certainly David Benavente's garden, and Luis Valleco's in Spain, Marco Inverniz's work, Kevin, some other people within the UK that I've sort of studied with, Steve Tolley back in the day as well. But yeah, it's just an evolution of.
And you exhibit? Do you exhibit much or not?
Yeah, I exhibit mainly twice a year. I always do the expo in the UK because I think it's probably the best exhibition, certainly display-wise. And I do try to get over to Belgium, but that's obviously become a lot more difficult, the trophy, because of Brexit and the requirement for sort of phytosanitary information that you have to take to the tree.
So you're very much on your own, you don't belong to clubs?
No, I initially sort of went to a club, the Bristol one, which is a really buoyant club.
Because not everyone belongs to a club. Some people like clubs, some people don't.
No, for me, I mean, I sort of worked with Kevin and other people, and it got to the point where I thought that I would just fly solo.
Yes, okay. Right, so let's see that lovely accent of yours. This is not the actual exhibition, because at the exhibition we're going to have it at school. We'll show you the tree again at the exhibition. So we home in on this, and this is a lovely accent planting on driftwood or...
Yes, on a bit of olive wood.
Olive wood. I used to love
So I have to be honest, I didn't actually create this. So my friend Simon, who actually introduced me into bonsai, has this skill of being able to just grab an object and plant it. And this is one of his that he just said that he would knock up for me for an exhibition a couple of years ago. And since then it's just grown and gone from strength to strength. It looks quite old now, seasoned within its presence.
Do you ever get tired of a tree?
Yes. I do have my moments, and there are times when I can sort of walk into the garden and I'll be next to a piece that maybe I've had for quite a long time. And I'll just think, our journey has come to an end and then it's time to maybe move on and try something new. But certain stuff, I
think with bonsai, because it's high art, you could be collecting like people who collect famous paintings and sculpture. It can become addictive, you can keep buying and buying. I have a customer of mine, although he buys some trees from me, the bulk of his trees are not from me. And he's got to the stage where his garden is not even half the size of this room. He's got about 38 major trees. Some of them are twice this size, and he's running out of space. So I have to tell him sometimes, please don't buy anymore because I have to look after them. And you get to that stage where you get very obsessive. So you got to just enjoy what you got. So
I think it depends on what people want to do in bonsai. Some people are happy to just have stuff in boxes that they just water and they're happy to be around, and that's kind of where they find their peace. Some people like working with really raw material and creating something over time. Some people like growing stuff from seed. For me, I like the making stuff, sort of pushing it, making the envelope,
so
sort
I
of
think
trying to make it as good as possible.
You made a very important point, because everyone's bonsai journey is different. You could be a beginner and still enjoy it. I don't like to boast, but I have this YouTube channel where I have a lot of fans, and I teach a very simple form of bonsai, and I don't claim to be a great bonsai master, but what I teach, 500,000 people are my subscribers. They get so much enjoyment from doing simple things, and usually in any art form, people who are at the top end, they look down on the people at the bottom end, they say, oh, that's rubbish. But I don't see it that way. Everyone has a journey to start. Some people just enjoy doing that, and we must not, have that superior attitude, which I think spoils the hobby and art form. So I always remind people, whatever you do, it's to enjoy. If you don't enjoy it, there's no point doing it.
I mean, the enjoyment is
yes.
the actual growing of them. And,
Yes.
and for me, I remember Kevin said something to me on one of the very first workshops, and he said, you will never understand how to grow twigs on a tree unless you've literally grown one for 10 years. And he was exactly right. And my advice to anybody, certainly working with deciduous trees, is just get something, whatever size, whether it be a whip in the beginning, something you pulled out of the ground, and just go on a journey with it for 10 years, you know. Take the ups and downs, fight the fungus, have problems with your aphids, you know, and do the whole journey. And then in 10 years, if you can actually get something that's got good twiggery on it, it's a real sort of promising thing to sort of get to. And if that was one bit of advice I would give to anybody, is stick with one piece from the beginning and follow the journey.
So any other further advice to our viewers? I think that was a very good piece of advice, isn't it?
For me, I try to keep it as simple as possible. I kind of follow the 4 things, which is basically water, wire, feed and cut. So that's the 4 things that I kind of do in bonsai. The conundrum is the timing and the learning the timing, because every year is a different year. Every year throws its own sort of problems at you. They don't perform the same year in, year out.
Have you had any disasters in bonsai?
Oh yeah. So the biggest thing that ever happened is I bought a Makita, thinking that I could be a
Great carver.
thinking I could be a Kevin Wilson. Excuse me, just ended up with a pile of sawdust. So that's probably the biggest mistake I ever made. I'm into meckery, which is summer pruning, which is a big Japanese thing. And I literally do that with everything. So I don't pinch anything in the spring. I let everything grow. And I let it grow as full as it can, feed them quite well. And then at the point within the late May, June period of the year, that is when I cut. And that would be on pines, deciduous stuff. And the reason that I do that is that if you pinch early, you may be pinching something this week. And ultimately what you're trying to do is you're trying to balance energy within the tree. So if you're pinching weak and letting the strong grow, you are going to kind of miss that equilibrium. And that is the critical point about letting everything grow, let it photosynthesize to its maximum, and then cut. And then by doing that, you should be able to balance all of the areas on the tree at that point. And that is probably the best advice for me.
All right, good. So thank you for bringing it all the way from Bristol.
No problem.
And I'm sure everyone will enjoy it when they come on the 7th, and all the viewers worldwide will be able to appreciate your work. So thank you again for coming, Warren.
Thank you.
And I hope you've enjoyed this video.